their hearts. They may lie, manipulate, or try to tear down what God is building in you. But here's the truth that brings peace to every child of God. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. And he is always working quietly, powerfully, and faithfully to protect you from the schemes of the enemy. One of the most comforting truths in the life of a believer is this: God sees everything. Not some things, not most things, everything. Nothing is hidden from his sight. While we live our lives limited by what we can observe, what people say, and what we feel, God is never limited. He doesn't need someone to confess their motive in order to discern it. He doesn't need physical evidence to know the truth. God knows the heart. He knows every thought, every intention, every plan, good or evil, before it ever becomes visible. Now, you and I may walk into a situation thinking it's harmless. We may trust someone's smile, believe their words, or think their presence in our lives is a blessing, but later we discover that not everything was as it seemed. Have you ever been there? Trusted someone only to find out they had other motives? Maybe they wanted to use you, manipulate you, or simply wanted you to fail. Those moments hurt. But they are not surprising to God. You see, the Lord was never fooled. He was not caught off guard like we were. And the incredible thing is, he was already working long before we ever suspected a thing to shield us, to redirect us, and to open our eyes in due time. Proverbs 15:3 says, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, watching the evil and the good. That's a verse I come back to often. It means that even when people are plotting behind closed doors, whispering in corners, or smiling to your face while stabbing you in the back, God sees it all. And not just sees it, he judges it, he responds to it, he protects his children because he is not blind to what's happening around them. We must understand that when God allows someone to be in your life for a season, even if they later turn out to be toxic or harmful, he has a purpose for it. Sometimes he uses those very people to teach us discernment. Other times he uses them to draw us closer to himself, because in our pain we turn to him more earnestly. But ultimately, we can rest in this: he knew their character before we did. He saw their heart before they ever spoke a word. And if they are removed from your life, or if their mask is suddenly pulled off, you can be sure it was God's doing. That wasn't just coincidence. That was his protection. Sometimes people ask, why didn't God warn me sooner? And friend, I've asked that too. But over the years, I've learned this: God warns in his time. And his timing is perfect. He may allow you to see just enough to know something isn't right, but not reveal the whole picture until your heart is ready to let go, or until the lesson has been learned. He's not only protecting you physically, he's shaping you spiritually. He is growing your trust in him. He is teaching you that his vision is far greater than yours, and that you can lean on him when you feel betrayed, confused, or wounded. David in the Psalms often cried out to God about his enemies. He would say, they hide their snares, they lie in wait to destroy me. But David always came back to this truth: God sees. And because God sees, David found peace. He didn't need to retaliate. He didn't need to prove anything. He simply trusted that the God who knew his heart also knew theirs. And that was enough. So let me ask you, dear friend, are there people in your life right now that you're unsure about? Are you feeling confused about someone's actions or motives? Take heart. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be anxious. You don't need to keep replaying conversations in your head, trying to figure it all out. What you need is to rest in the truth that your Heavenly Father already knows. He sees behind the curtain. He hears what you can't hear. And if you continue to walk with him, trust him, and seek his wisdom, he will make everything clear in due time. You are not walking through life blind. You have the all-seeing God going before you, standing behind you, and surrounding you with his presence. That is the kind of protection no evil person can overcome. Trust in him. He sees what you cannot see, and that changes everything. When we talk about God's protection, it's not just a theological idea. It's a reality for every believer who walks by faith. You see, God doesn't just save us and leave us to fend for ourselves. He surrounds us. He guards us. And yes, he places divine boundaries around our lives, often in ways we don't even recognize. That's what I want to focus on here. You are surrounded by divine protection, even when you feel vulnerable, even when the enemy seems close, and even when evil people appear to prosper for a season. There's a story in the Bible that beautifully illustrates this. In the first chapter of Job, Satan comes before God and complains that Job is too protected. He says, "Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side?" Job 3:1-10. Now think about that for a moment. Satan wasn't frustrated because Job was strong or clever. He was frustrated because Job was surrounded by God's protection. That tells us something powerful. God had built a spiritual hedge around Job, a boundary the enemy could not cross without permission. That same God is your God today, and he has not changed. You may not see this hedge. It's not made of bricks or steel, but its power is more real than any wall man can build. God's protection may look invisible to the human eye, but it is absolutely impenetrable when you are walking in his will. That means you don't have to fear what people say behind your back or what plans they try to form against you, because no one, not a co-worker, not a relative, not a false friend, can cross a line that God himself has drawn around your life. Sometimes we get so caught up in the battle, in the noise, in the fear of what others might do to us, that we forget we are already surrounded. Psalm 34:7 says, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them." What does that mean? It means heaven is not unaware of your situation. It means God isn't waiting until you cry out to start protecting you. He's already there. He's already positioned his angels around you, even when you don't feel it, and even when it seems like the wrong people are getting ahead. You can rest in the truth that God is at work on your behalf. Some people might say, if that's true, then why do I still face problems? The answer is simple. Divine protection doesn't always mean prevention. Sometimes God allows difficulty not to destroy you, but to develop you. But even in the storm, even in the betrayal, even when others rise up against you, he is still protecting the outcome. He may allow a battle, but he will never allow you to be overcome when you trust in him. There's a difference between facing opposition and being defeated. And God has promised that no weapon formed against you will prosper. That doesn't mean the weapon won't be formed. It means it won't work the way the enemy intended. This is part one. This is the reality that God breaks up your weapon formed against you will work the way the enemy intended. When you find against him, this is part two. This is the reality that God breaks up your weapon when you formed the attitude that says, God said to me. That's what we must hold on to in moments of fear or uncertainty. When evil people come against you with gossip, manipulation, or deceit, don't panic, don't retaliate, don't let it shake your peace. Stand firm in the knowledge that your life is in God's hands. They can scheme, but God sees. They can plot, but God protects. You don't need to fight every battle in the flesh. Sometimes your greatest weapon is your stillness. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's not weakness. That's trust. That's faith in action. And let me tell you something else. Sometimes the very reason you haven't been harmed, the reason their plans haven't worked, is because God stepped in and stopped it before you even knew what was coming. That's divine protection. The friendships that ended without explanation, the doors that closed unexpectedly, the job opportunities that fell through, you thought it was rejection, but it was really God's redirection. He was keeping you from something that looked good, but would have hurt you later. He was guarding your future while you were busy worrying about your present. So today, walk in confidence, not in your own strength, but in the assurance that the God who never sleeps is watching over you. You don't need to be afraid of evil people or what they might try to do. You are surrounded. You are covered. And as long as you remain in him, nothing and no one can touch what God has placed his hand upon. That's not just a comforting thought. That's a powerful truth. Let it settle deep in your spirit today. Evil may come close, but it cannot prevail. That truth is a foundation every believer can stand on when life gets dark and enemies seem to surround you. At times it may feel like the forces working against you are winning. People may slander your name, try to ruin your reputation, sabotage your work, or betray your trust. You may ask, Lord, why are you allowing them to come so close? Why do you permit these things to even touch my life? But let me assure you, just because evil gets close doesn't mean it has power over you. God never promised that we would be exempt from trouble, opposition, or attacks from evil people. In fact, throughout Scripture, we are shown that the righteous often walk through fire before they see their deliverance. Think about Joseph. His own brothers sold him into slavery. He was falsely accused and imprisoned. Evil people plotted to destroy him, but they could never derail God's purpose for his life. What men meant for evil, God turned for good. That's the key. God permits what he intends to redeem. So when evil comes close, when you feel surrounded, misunderstood, or even betrayed, you must remember that God has not abandoned you. You are still under his hand. You are still in his will. Evil may knock at your door, but it cannot cross the threshold unless God allows it. And even then, it must serve his divine plan. Isaiah 54:17 tells us, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. Notice what that verse doesn't say. It doesn't say weapons won't form. It doesn't